We all know what natural disasters can do to agriculture, specifically greenhouse. I am here with Mr. Harrison. He is the only greenhouse farmer on the Turks and Caicos Islands, and he's basically here to tell us about his experience with a natural disaster, which was Hurricane Irma. Now, thank you for having me, Mr. Harrison, and my first question to you is,
right, well, Irma, which was a catastrophic Category 5 hurricane, was the third one that we'd experienced, and it was the third time that we were completely written off. But Irma made a tremendous job writing us off. I think you'll see the film of the devastation that there was. There were 3 posts from all our greenhouse left standing. The way that we deal with the hurricanes is from the first week in August on over, every morning I go on to NOAA Hurricane Watch in Miami, and I monitor any movement of anything coming over the Atlantic. I need as much notice as I can to do several things to prepare myself. And I know that from the very first sign I've got between 5 and 10 days. It's got 5 and 10 days to change direction, which is wonderful for us. If it continues to come straight for us, which 3 of them have, then I have to start a program of taking the place to pieces to get the screens down, because it just wrecks the screens straight away. And then of course any plants that are inside the shade houses, they're destroyed. So what I try and do at this time of year is get lots of seedlings that are ready in the seed house that I can put into a concrete unit that we've got for 48 hours and save maybe 2 or 3 weeks of time going back into production. Well, when that happens, when it's definitely on the nose, all the screens have to come down. As many plants as we can, we try and put into a protected building. The rest of the plants we know are going to get destroyed. The ones that are in the air with fruit on, we know that are going to get destroyed because there's no way of protecting them. We can't use glass down here because the inside of the house would be too hot. So we have to use screens. To save the screen, we have to take them down. That immediately is a death sentence to the plants that are left. And it usually takes us about 4 days to get everything inside and everything taken down.
and did you take off the plastic from on the top of the...
No, the plastic stays. Well, we take as much down as we can.
Okay.
But usually we can't get it all down because we haven't got the time. We've been hit by 2 big ones prior to Irma, and I know that anything that's growing will be on the ground, flattened and dead. So I know that. So you can imagine what's going on, but you know that the end product of that the next morning is all your crop that you haven't been able to put inside a house, a safe house, will be dead.
Okay.
And then it's a matter of how much construction damage there is, because when you take the screens down, that leaves the frame, and the frame then was 4x4 and 2x4, a honeycomb of that. And with the Irma, everything, 3/4 of an acre of posts every 10 feet were flat on the ground with only 3 left standing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We managed to get down here. It takes a while. The morning after it did, especially after Irma. But we did get down here about lunchtime, and it was just wrecked, completely, totally wrecked.
It was wrecked.
Well, there was no power, and power is quite critical to start to resurrecting the place. and we had to, I mean, Fortis did a marvellous job, but it took us about 3 months to get our power back. And while that was happening, all we had was a generator. Well, we did as much as we could to resurrect the place and get it. First of all, you've got to remove all the damage, and the IRMA hurricane, it was totally wrecked.
Okay.
So it was a complete rebuild from the ground up. Well, I don't go backwards easily. Never have. But my partner, who was from Canada, they decided that they didn't want to put the money into rebuilding and they didn't want to resurrect it. I decided that I would like to continue, and I actually found a new partner, or he found me, in Clive Stanbrook, and he bought my partner out, and the two of us rebuilt the unit. But it cost him short of $100,000, and that was the third time. So you lose your production, and you've got the expense of rebuilding. I don't like hurricanes; they're extremely damaging. Well, there was a huge amount of time, probably about 5 or 6 months, where the only cash flow was negative. It was cost of rebuilding and cost of regrowing, because everything had to start from scratch, because we couldn't preserve the plants that we'd managed to put in a safe house because they couldn't get the power down to us. So anything that we managed to salvage died anyway. So we had to wait 3 months, I think it was, before we could get the power, before we could start the rebuild. And the moment we started the rebuild, of course, we replanted. So the plants were growing at the same time as the availability of new shade houses were. But I'm still rebuilding 2 years after. It's a long, long job, and it's an incredibly expensive job. The houses that we had in the air when IRMA came through were made of 4x4s and 2x4s. Fortis lost, I think, about 2,000 of their power poles. So, as part of our reconstruction, our rebuild, I went to Fortis and said, look, you're throwing away poles that are about 16 feet long. Their power poles snapped in half. Those 16 feet, the 16 feet that was left, was just about right for me. So I've rebuilt the place using their power poles, which was very good of them to donate them. So the power poles go 3 feet into the ground and 10 feet into the air, and if a hurricane moves those, there's almost no other method you can use that could be stronger.
Hello, now that you're at the end, if this video was beneficial to you, please consider subscribing. To subscribe to my channel, please click the red subscribe button and then click the bell icon beside it so that you will be notified whenever I publish a new video. Thank you.